I don't even know what day. Is today Monday? I think it's Monday. Could be any day though. Happy whatever day it is to you. Okay, so let's start as we often do by looking at our intention. So the way in which we look at our intention is the way in which we do everything that we do. So it turns out anything that we do, is so long as we do it with awareness, is enlightening. So, but on the other hand, anything that we do, no matter how lofty it may be, no matter how technically correct it may be, if it is without sincerity and honesty and well, sincerity and honesty, I think, kind of covers the basis. If it's not with that, if it's without those, then it's useless. So if we just take this moment right now to look at our intention. So what do I mean by our intention? Our intention in this moment for being here, just to keep it simple. So just look for yourself and notice your intention for being here. And notice, remember I said sincerity and honesty. So you can do it like nobody's looking, like it's the most private, intimate experience, that you're safe, that you can do this now, that nobody's looking over your shoulder, nobody's judging. And if there's any judgment, then you just know that that judgment is just surfacing from your own subconscious, and that's it. That's all that it is. It's just conditioning. So you can allow that judgment without having to defend yourself. So just see, what is your intention for being here? And maybe you find that that's more challenging than you thought. Maybe it's easier than you thought. Maybe you don't really know, or maybe it's very clear. And in any case, just continue to look, just look in this open, sincere way, just to see, now what, now what? If we just have this, it's funny, it's an intention to discover our intention. And we just couple that with this sincerity and honesty, then see what reveals itself. So whatever this intention, the chances are that there are layers to it. And if you look honestly, which is, as I've said, it's one of the key ingredients, is honesty. If you look honestly, then you have to see that many of the layers are, they're not really yours, they're borrowed. So what do I mean by that? Well, like, well, I want to be a good person. I want to be a positively contributing member of society. I want to be a success. And you might say, oh, I don't have any of those intentions. Oh no. I'm much more evolved than any of that nonsense. But just again, you have to be willing to drop the pretense and just be very honest with yourself. And again, there's nobody else here. You're in this, I mean, here we are meeting as a group, but nobody can see your inner experience. It's only you. It's totally private. So it's very safe. Only you, only you are here. And if you can't be honest with yourself, well, then when and where and with whom can you be honest? So it has to start here. So just look and see, oh, yes, it's true. There's so many layers of borrowed notions that I've never really looked at. I've never really inquired into to see, where did that even come from? And is it even mine? Does it really even matter? And do I even know what it means? So we can, when we're honest and sincere, we can throw into the mix vulnerable, but that vulnerability has to emerge from this honesty, which so is synonymous in a sense, but it's within this context of total safety, because there's nobody else here. Again, it's, you have to see there's nobody else. It's just you and yourself, and there's nobody else who's judging, who's looking, who's condemning, who's saying that you must, you should, you shouldn't. None of nobody else. So now we can look and see these layers of, why am I here? Well, I want to evolve. I want to grow. I want to move beyond my pain and suffering. I want to, but see, then be more honest in that. Look and see, well, I want, why? Why do you want that? Really? And you have to look sincerely, because otherwise you just stay trapped by the same old borrowed stuff, which was never true, which was never yours, which was always just from, it's extraneous. It's from somebody else. And it was not even theirs to begin with anyway. It was borrowed. They borrowed it from somebody else who borrowed it from somebody else. So we have to look and see, what is this intention? And on the surface, we can dress it up and make it look very nice and shiny and pleasant and appropriate and spiritual and evolved and all of these things, because we know we're all intelligent enough that we know the right answers, right? I mean, we know what my intention should be. I'm here for absolute liberation for all sentient beings. To know and radiate the oneness. We know the right answer, but see how there's that right answer is it's a veneer on top of these other layers of borrowed things. So see, like, what is that just beneath the surface there? Well, I'm afraid. Aren't you afraid? Aren't you afraid? You have to see that. You have to see that you're afraid, and that actually that fear is an enormous motivator. Aren't you afraid? Aren't you afraid that tomorrow could be worse? That even if you've had a good run, maybe a couple good days, a couple good weeks, a couple good months, still could fall apart, couldn't it? Aren't you afraid that you don't have what it takes, that you won't make it? And you can fill in the blank with the specific details of that fear, but just look and see, isn't there fear there? I mean, isn't that a motivator? And then you can perhaps see that all of the ways, the specific detailed ways in which that fear expresses and manifests, those are all borrowed. Those are all learned. It's all conditioned. It's from somewhere else, someone else telling you how you should be, what life is about. Don't do this, do that, get it right, stand up straight, wipe your face. All these things that we overlook because we think, oh no, I'm big and grown up and I'm beyond all of that. But no, we're just as afraid as ever, like these little children. So So let's see that. See, I'm afraid. And that's a big motivator for why I'm here. I'm afraid, and I'm so hopeful that I'm going to find the right answer that's going to protect me finally, once and for all, against this fear, so that I can have that confidence, so that I can know I'm right. I'm secure now in my rightness. I've got the right answer. I've got it. Not only do I know it, but I have it. I have it. I hold it. It's in my pocket. It's mine. I command it. Isn't that what we want? So now peer beneath that and see, is that really what you want? You really want to be victorious over fear? You really want to have that power? You want to command that power? You want to be, fear to be afraid of you? You want to have all the right answers? You want to have it all figured out? It's a little suspicious, isn't it? It's a little suspicious. It's a little flat. It's a little kind of dead, isn't it? Finally, I'm on top. I'm on top of the heap. Finally, everybody else is finally going to bow down to me. Life will bow down to me. It's no longer going to try to pull its tricks on me. It's no longer going to try to surprise me unpleasantly. Then what? You see, isn't it a little flat? So look and see. Maybe, well, here's an invitation. Maybe that fear is actually our ally, our best friend. What do you think about that? So if that piques your interest, if you're a little curious about that, how could fear be my best friend? What do you mean? It's my arch enemy. That's why I'm here. I'm here to get rid of it once and for all, finally. But see, this fear, look and just see that this fear has been your steady companion, hasn't it? It's always been here, dependable. So you sure you're ready to off it? And in any case, you haven't been very successful, have you? So, eventually, maybe just call a truce. Let's okay, fine, fine, I'm not going to be victorious in that way. So remember what I said, this has to be from start to finish, has to be sincere and honest. So look and see who, there's nobody here to lie to you other than yourself. And aren't you tired of the lies? Aren't you really? I mean, I am. I'm exhausted of the lies. I can't take another one. Not a single one, not a single another lie. Too much. So you have to see that. You have to see I'm so exhausted of these lies. I can't bear another one. I really can't. And then you have to see the only one doing the lying is you. So good news. You have this remarkable power of honesty And that honesty doesn't, you don't have to go searching for it. It's here. It's your nature. It's who you are. It's effortless. So just see that now. See that when you don't make any effort, when you stop trying to dress it up and pretend otherwise, when you stop trying to defend yourself and say, oh, no, you can't make those accusations against me. I'm none of those things. I'm not afraid at all. Or whatever, wherever the defenses come up, just see that it's unnecessary. And just see that's all just this, those are the lies. That's the pretense. It's totally false. And it's deeply painful. So just see it and then be willing not to do it anymore. At least now, at least for this moment. And then maybe you can see how rigid it's been, how uptight, how tense, trying to constantly defend, ensure that everybody is, and by everybody, really just your own mind, is pleasing to you. But of course, nothing's pleasing because, again, it's this fear that you're desperately trying to avoid. So nothing's pleasing. There's no joy anymore, is there? Not in that way. But then, see, you tell the truth and you realize, oh no, there's never been any joy in that. It's always been just constant defense, constant, oh ho, look at me, I'm the smartest one. Oh ho, look at me, I'm the fastest one. Oh ho, look at me, I'm the wittiest one. Oh ho, look at me, I'm the, fastest, I'm the tallest, I'm the, whatever. And if you can't be any of those things, well then, oh ho, look at me, I'm the loneliest one. Oh ho, look at me, I'm the stupidest one. Oh, look at me, I'm the, the most outcast one. Oh, look at me, I'm the most misunderstood. That's a good one. And see how rigid it is. And you have to defend all of these false positions, but see how natural it is just to let that all go. Not to pick up your sword and shield, not to do that one more time. Now, hopefully, because I said, sort of like the ground rules, you got to be sincere and honest. So hopefully you're being sincere and honest. And if you're being sincere and honest, then you're going to feel uncomfortable. Or maybe you don't, maybe, maybe you've done this a few times, a few dozen times, 100 times, a couple hundred times. And you say, oh, I'm not so uncomfortable anymore. It's a little bit more familiar. Okay, fine. It's not uncomfortable, but it's, what would be the word? Sensitive, isn't it? Tender. It's like, almost like you don't have that wall around you anymore. Almost like you're translucent and people can see into you. Almost like they could see the sadness and the anger and all of that inside. And you can just notice all of these tendencies to reinforce the wall again, reinforce the defenses. See how much effort that requires, though. See how much effort it requires, just even in your own. You see, notice what's happening. If there's any arguing going on, where's the arguing taking place? And there is arguing. There has to be arguing because there's comparison. It's just what the mind does. It compares. I don't know about that. I don't really agree with that. Or it says, oh yes, 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 very good. I definitely agree with that. Oh yes, excellent meeting because I agree with almost all of it. Except for that one damn thing he said, it spoiled it. If only he hadn't said that, I would have agreed with everything. But now that he said that one thing, I completely don't agree because, it's too bad. I was really liking these meetings, but I don't think I can attend anymore. It's just your own mind. Oh, you see, it's just your own mind. And it's just constantly trying to figure out, who am I? Who am I? Where am I? How am I doing? Am I succeeding? Am I failing? Am I safe? Am I not safe? What about now? What about now? What about now? What about now? And don't you see, there's no rest. No rest. Never. Not ever. No rest. No matter how fortified, no matter how successful, no matter how, whatever, fill in the blank, no rest. In fact, the more success you have, the worse it is because then you've got more to defend. And just see all of the strategies in your life for how you try to manage that and make that work. The defenses are so weak, so brittle that you see the strategies. You avoid people. Definitely avoid people who you don't like, who you find disagreeable. You say, I can only take so much, okay, fine, I'll go to that thing. You think, thank God for lockdowns, because at least now I don't have to do any more of that socializing. So, and look, I've talked about this. You can see it now, perhaps, that everything in your experience, your whole world, everything, including everything that you call the objective external world, all of that, at least as it's known to you, exists 100% only in your own mind. Or we could say, at the very least, your own perception. We could include the senses there. But it's your perception. You don't know anything outside of your perception. Well, wait a second. Is that true? Let's find out. Now that's where it gets really interesting. Because I like to say you do know something outside of your perception, but you overlook it over and 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 over. You overlook it so much, so habitually. So you're so addicted to the so-called personal perception that you don't even know that you know this. But we'll come back to that momentarily. First of all, we have to get clear on that 99.999%, and certainly everything in the so-called objective world, everything in that so-called external world, all of that exists for you, at least, only in your perception. So all of these things that you do, all the strategies for trying to navigate it, and I'll raise my hand. I'm in this boat with you, so you're not alone. We can see, it's all these strategies, all the preoccupation, everything that you fixate on day and night. Should I do this? Should I do that? Did I say the right thing? Did I do the wrong thing? Should I eat that? Where should I go there? Should I invest in this thing? Do I really like this? Should I do something different with my life? all the preoccupations. Am I with the right person? Can I tolerate this any longer? Should I demand more respect? On and on. All of it is just strategies designed to distract and keep these defenses, well, from completely falling apart. So we're looking right now, remember, it's honest, sincere, looking at your own self and see all of this and just see, you agree, you disagree, you like it, you don't like it, raises your hackles and then you're soothed again and then, back and forth on and you're paying attention, you're zoning out, thinking about this, thinking about that, on and on, all this stuff happening. And you can just notice that that's all happening and just notice that this preoccupation with all of that stuff. And look again to see, why are you really here? You're desperately afraid. You don't know who you are. You're running out of time. The world is a disaster. And you can't really hold it together that much longer. You know you can't. So you're afraid. And then look and see all of this stuff that you're preoccupied with, all the strategies, all the things that you're fixating on habitually, compulsively. See how they not only can they not resolve this fundamental issue, but they actually only exacerbate it, maintain it. They flow out of this avoidance of fear. They flow out of this protracted battle with fear. It's like a gridlock. You're never gonna win, but you're just stuck. So here again, honesty and sincerity. Now, bring it back to what I said. I said, maybe this fear is not your mortal enemy. Maybe it is your ally. Now, let's look directly at that possibility. So you have to get in touch with that fear. Now, if you think about it, you can't get in touch with it by thinking about it. That's just a time-saving hint. You think about it, and think about it, and you notice it's like, it always is. You think, oh, I'm going to get closer to it. I got to think about it a little bit more, but you keep thinking about it and you take a step thinking, and that it's also taking a step. So it's always that far away from you, no matter how many steps you take in thinking. So you've gotten close enough in thought. Now drop the thought for a moment and notice just the pure feeling. Notice this pure feeling, just this feeling of vulnerability. Notice the compulsion to do something, to tense up somehow, to somehow armor yourself against it, to get some kind of feeling of security, and just tell the truth about it, that feeling of security is not what it is. It's not where it's at. It is not giving you what you need. You've been chasing that compulsively, and it never is giving you what you need. So just be willing right now to drop it. And just instead of chasing after any feeling, just allow the feeling that's here, just this feeling of whatever it is. It's mysterious. You might perceive it as uncomfortable. You might perceive it as any number of things, but just stay with the feeling. Now, how do you stay with the feeling? Simple. Just be here. Now, how do you be here? Well, you stay with the feeling. And you say, well, that's circular. I don't know how I do that. Okay, here's another tip. Just notice the sensations in the body. Notice the sensations and notice, again, like I said, this compulsion to tense up, to armor. And just choose to continuously soften. Now, don't think that you have to get to some state of perfection, some state of perfect openness or whatever. No, not at all. It's this right now, this present experience exactly as it is, this present feeling exactly as it is, and just allow it, and then notice the compulsion to control it, to manipulate it, to shut it down, to do something with it, to get it under control, and just notice that, and don't just soften, release, allow. And the thoughts may come, and that's fine. You're just learning about yourself, so whatever happens happens, but just see how you are this capacity to witness this experience. So the thought comes and you're effortlessly aware, and you might notice this compulsion to give your attention to the thought, to grasp at the thought, and you're aware of that too. And this awareness remains open, so you just stay open, and the thought comes and the thought goes, and maybe now this feeling shifts a little bit, and now you're wondering about, well, what is that? Is that good? Is that bad? And you notice that, that's effortless. Maybe another thought, maybe some sensation that seems uncomfortable. Maybe you even interpret it as pain. Well, you just notice that. Then maybe the compulsion to do something about it. Maybe another thought that says, this is unbearable. I've got to do something about this. This is a distraction. If only I can get rid of this, then I can get back to the inquiry. Then I'll get somewhere. And see, you're just effortlessly aware of that. Now, you might also notice that there's something really wide open here. Some of you might not notice it. Some of you definitely notice it. And you notice, perhaps, and it depends on the conditioning, but you might notice that as soon as I point that out, then the mind is, wait a second, what is that? Is that good? Is it bad? Is that, am I close? Am I almost there? Let me do something with it. Let me get a hold of it. And just notice you're effortlessly aware of that. Now, the next thought might come and say, oh, I've screwed it up. You're effortlessly aware of that. And still, this wide openness remains. So the sensation comes and goes. There might be a sensation of what you perceive as energy. It could be tingling. It could be sense of temperature change. It could be anything, or it could be none of those things. But those experiences all come and go, you notice. So there's a feeling that comes and you say, oh, I like this feeling. This must be it. I'm there. Now I just need to hold on to it. Or a feeling that you don't like and you say, oh no, I thought I was almost there. How do I get back to it? If only this feeling wasn't here. But just see, do these feelings actually interfere? Are they really obstacles to this wide openness? Do you need these sensations? Do you need the particular sense of energy or light or whatever for this wide openness to be? Now, you can explore this and you can find out, what if I uh, allow the so-called bad experiences, the so-called unbearable, unacceptable experiences? What if I allow those? What if I allow the fear without trying to get rid of it, without trying to conquer it, without trying to do anything, and just see, can that coexist with this wide openness? So find out directly. Just find out in your actual experience. Just see. Can you just invite, just in a very gentle, light way, just see the power of your intention. Just invite that badness, wrongness, unacceptableness, the worst thing. And then just see, is this wide openness still here? And maybe there's a kind of switching back and forth with your attention. So it's sort of, because your attention can't seem to really hold or look at both at the same time. Maybe it depends. Maybe you can. I don't know. But just if that happens, you just allow that to happen. It's like, okay, there, wide openness, still here. Yeah. Worst thing. Yep. Wide openness. Yep. Worst thing. And you say, well, I don't really know about worst thing anymore. It's hard. Or maybe you say, no, it's definitely worst thing. Whatever. Experience? Yes. Wide openness? Yes. Experience that takes some form? Yes. Experience that takes another form? Yes. Thought that I know it? Yes. Realization that I don't know it? Yes. Wide openness? Yes. So I would like to do something together for we got 15, 16 minutes, give or take. And I'd like to explore something together. Um, because once we recognize, have a glimpse of this, I'm using this term wide openness, just a term, could use any other term. If I use another term, then you might say, oh, I know what he's talking about now. Now that I've done that, you say, oh, now I know what he's talking about awareness. Oh, good, I already knew about awareness. But see, if you have to do that, then maybe remember honesty and sincerity. To what if you don't know? What if you honestly don't know? What if could you just allow that? You see, could you just allow that to not know? To not be somewhere, to not get it, to none of that, none of the pretense. Could it be that you don't know? Could you be, imagine that courage to be that defenseless, to have nothing, no armor of any kind, no armor of so-called knowledge. And the courage and willingness to boldly be. Can you imagine that? Maybe that would be magnificent. It would also be terrifying. And that's what I'm saying when I say maybe this fear is your greatest ally, because it's like you're like the Ouroboros, or the dog chasing its tail. And you think, gotta get it, gotta get it, gotta get it. And the big joke is it's you, and you can't get it. It's always just out of reach. But that's the game. That's the thing that's playing out. And meanwhile, all along, you are you. You are. You are. I am. Whatever the form, whatever the activity. And this fear is none other than the invitation to that. If we look at it in one particular way, it seems like, you look at it one way from the perspective of the tail, it's like, oh no, this monstrous mouth is about to get me. There you go, it's fear. Look at it from another perspective, you're like, I've almost got it. The excitement of I've almost got it. But it's you, it's all you. You see, it's all you. So that is you. Of course, it's your greatest ally. It's you. It's you. It's you. Okay. So, what is this thing that I want to do? This experiment. So we recognize, in this recognition of this wide openness, this vastness, this unknowing space. It's an unknowing space, but you see, it's also, we could say, it's the same. It's unknowing space, and it's also the space of pure knowing. So it's not like ignorance. It's the opposite of ignorance, if we could say that. I could say that, but to say it has an opposite is a little bit misleading. But it's almost like the opposite of ignorance, because it's pure knowledge, pure awareness. But it's also not knowing, in the sense that it's not collapsing it into something that can be compared to some other thing from the past. It's pure aliveness now. So we have this recognition, this glimpse of that here now. But that's only, in a sense, half of the picture, because if we stop there, then it's like it's only half. It's only half. It's glorious, but it's only half. Half in the sense of there is still this activity taking place. There is still this appearance taking place. There still is this sense of me. There still is this sense of I've almost got it. And there still is the sense of it's almost got me. And if you look at this that we have created, the perspective that we've created, you have to ask yourself, is it really what you want? And I know the answer to that, and you know the answer to that. No, it's not what you want. Not really. It's kind of far off the mark, isn't it? Because what do you really want? In your heart of hearts, what you really want is you want peace. And you know that there's no such thing as just your peace. The reality of peace expressed has to be peace for all sentient beings. So that's the expression that we really want. And why limit ourselves? You know, I understand we find refuge in this wide openness, and we want to, in a certain way, we just want to stay here. You know, this it seems like this world has beaten us up, and we've had enough, and we're exhausted and tired, and finally, wide openness. I'll just stay here. But we're selling ourselves short then, because you see, we've already been using our creative power. That's what all of this is. This is our creative expression. We're already doing it. We've already done it. And it occurs to me that collectively we have we can do an experiment, which is here in this glimpse of this wide openness. Look and see, is it your wide openness? I mean, does it belong to you? Is there anyone who can claim it and say, this is mine? Is the wide openness that you glimpse and the wide openness that I glimpse, are the two different wide opennesses? It's just one, isn't it? It's only one. So here we are, we're meeting in this oneness. Well, then this expression is the expression of that oneness. So now let us, if you're willing to participate in this experiment, let's begin to envision a new expression. A new expression that's true to our heart. So let's see, we'll go through it step by step and see how is it that we're presently creating, and what is it that results in this distortion of our true desire, so that it manifests in this way that's not pleasing to us. And then let's see what can we play and produce a change. So starting here in this awareness of this oneness, this wide openness, just look and see what is the true desire. See, can you recognize that true desire for peace? And then can you begin to envision, So exercising this creative capacity, can you begin to envision that piece expressing in this world? So just gently start to explore that. Can you envision this piece that you discover in the heart of oneness? Can you start to envision that expressing in this manifest world? And surely what you encounter is some block, something where you say, oh no, I can't really envision that. There's an obstacle. Well, many obstacles, but you encounter the first one, where in whatever that is. And then just look and see. So as an example, maybe you say, well, I want this. Yes, I want this piece. I want this piece to be expressed, but oh, I don't know how to do that because it just seems like there's always this conflict between me and my spouse, as an example. Whatever it is for you, it's whatever you become aware of, but just notice, okay, where's whatever the objection, the obstacle is, feel that, and then notice the hardness of it. Notice how you have to hold on to that. Notice how you have to maintain some sense of self-righteousness, some conflicting desire that I need to protect myself, I need to be better than, I need to show them. And then just look, see, we're just seeing what is the actual obstacle and see that we are creating it. We're creating it. It's a habit. So see this obstacle, see what it is, how it is, what it's composed of in your own experience, these beliefs. And here, remember, honesty and sincerity is really important. This isn't about judging. This isn't about shame on you. You're not the greatest person that you thought you were because you've got some sort of petty, fearful conditioning. No, it's just to see it. See, yes, oh yeah, there it is. I want I want to I want to be able to blame others. I get a cheap thrill out of thinking other people are stupid. I get a cheap thrill out of just shaking my head in astonishment that there are people, so many people out there who believe these moronic things that clearly are not true. And you know what those things are because they're the things that you think are moronic. And you can't tell me that that's not true because it's true for all of us right now. Holy cow. So it's just see that and then see how you create, you're creating and then maintaining this division. And it's all so that you can get this cheap thrill. It's a cheap thrill. See it. You got to see it. It's so cheap. It's so short lived. And then the come down is terrible. The price is awful. To sit on your high horse. Now you've got so many enemies, all those stupid people, all those bad people, all those whatever, all those people. So just see that. And then you got to ask yourself, do I really want that? Do I really want that? So see, you have to see it for yourself that actually, truthfully, you don't want that. You don't want the cheap thrill at the expense of the false division, the insecurity, the loneliness, the anger, the indignation. So you've got to see the pain of it, see the pain of maintaining that false position, those false judgments, just all the falsity, and then make a conscious decision. I actually want, you have to see this truthfully, okay? But you have to glimpse that what you really want, more than you want that, is you want peace. More than I want to be right, I want peace. More than I want to believe that I'm smart, I want peace. More than I want to blame other people, I want peace. More than I want to shake my head at other people, I want peace. More than I want to have enemies, I want peace. So you have to see that. And just with this one obstacle, the one that comes to you, whatever that is, with that one person or one group or one political issue or one neighbor or one whatever, just see with this one thing, could even be with your own body. A lot of the time it's with our own body or our own mind, you know. So see the obstacle, feel the obstacle, and then just notice how you create it and you maintain it, because up to now you've chosen the cheap thrill over and over and over and over and over and over and over out of ignorance. But now that you see it and you're telling the truth about it, you see it is a cheap thrill. It's not worth the cost. It's miserable. I've been doing it and I won't do it anymore because I want peace more than I want that cheap thrill, more than I want to believe these nonsensical things, more than I want to generate this division, more than any of that I want peace. So I'm willing to surrender all of that to this truth of peace. And you just do that now. Just notice you can just let that go, just surrender it to this truth of peace. Let the truth of peace take it and wash over you, and notice that you, again, can notice this unconditional, undivided, wide openness. But notice that this wide openness now, it's a little bit more alive, a little bit more expressed. It's a little bit more in this world, just a little bit, a little glimmer, like a little candle. Because in this place where you had previously had a block, where you previously had been unconsciously saying no, creating division, now it's able to express without that obstacle, without that division. And we'll just do that one more time. Okay, so notice this true heart desire for peace. And then begin to envision that peace expressing in this world, expressing in your life, expressing through you. And just notice wherever the first objection, obstacle arises, whatever that is. Could be with a person, situation, with your body, with your mind, could be in the past, it could be in the future, it could be whatever it is. Could be a thought, it could be a feeling. And just notice that there's the objection. So here's where you have difficulty envisioning peace in this world, expressing through you as you in this world, as this world. Because here's the seeming obstacle where you just say, I can't see the peace here. I can't see how it is even possible. It's too big of a problem. So just pause here and just notice that objection, notice the feeling, notice the beliefs, notice how you do it. It's very simple. So you don't have to think your way to it. We kind of deconstruct it by moving to subtler realms of experience, and just notice where you begin this division, where you divide self and other. I'm right, they're wrong. I have knowledge, they're ignorant. Should be this way, not that way. Notice you have these beliefs about what should be, how it should be, what's right, what's wrong, what's needed. Judgments about yourself and others. And notice how much effort is involved in doing all of that. And then just see, and you have to see it again sincerely, is that worth it? Is it actually worth it? What am I getting out of that? And you'll see again, it's just a cheap thrill. It's just this cheap thrill of being right, or some variation on that theme. And just see what you have to see sincerely for yourself, that it's miserable and not worth it. That the cheap thrill is short-lived, and that the cost is too great, and that it's not worth doing anymore. It's not worth believing anymore. It's not worth it. And when you can see that and feel that, feel the pain of that, of doing that any longer, of believing that any longer, of maintaining that any longer, of creating that false division, just so you can get this cheap thrill of being right, or being on the right side, or whatever it is, and see how awful and painful it is. And then just see it's not in alignment with what you really want. So you have to make a choice, and just make the right choice now. And when I say the right choice, I mean the right choice because you know it's the right choice in your heart. You know, what I want more than I want the cheap thrill is peace. I want that peace to be expressed in this world. I want that for my friends, for my family, for my loved ones, for my community. I want that for people and sentient beings everywhere. You see that that's true, has to be true. You see that that's the truth in your heart of hearts, and then just see that this cheap thrill is not worth the cost of sacrificing my true heart desire. And so in the light of that recognition, surrender the falsity, surrender the obstacles, surrender the false beliefs, surrender the false division. Just let that go. Let it dissolve in the light of awareness, in this wide openness, in this truth of peace. And then see how you can begin to envision this possibility of peace expressing, true peace expressing through you, as you, in your world, in your community, in your relationships, in your body. Just a little bit. Maybe not, probably not in its entirety, but a little bit. You can start to see maybe there's this process just slowly starts to open that up just a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. One false cheap thrill at a time, dissolved in the light of awareness. So thank you for participating in this experiment with me. And I'd like to continue doing this because I sincerely believe that as we continue this, we are using our creative power consciously instead of unconsciously to express that one truth into this manifest world for the betterment and upliftment of all. So we'll see. We'll see what happens as we continue to explore that. My prediction is we will see changes. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for participating. And for those who are here live, we'll stay on for the Q&A, and I'll end this recording now.